But today I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the basics. For many of you, you've heard this all before. But you know, I always think it's important to take a moment to look at that original gerrymander. This was in the Boston Gazette in 1812. So there was a guy named Elbridge Gerry, so we say gerrymandering, but Elbridge Gerry, he was someone who signed the Declaration of Independence. He promoted the Bill of Rights. He was, you know, by all accounts, a founding father. And yet, when it came time to focus on the voters and the districts, he put party over the voters. And this established a long history of putting the party before the voters. Now, gerrymandering is, that basically is Elbridge Gerry's name, or Gerry, and then mandering is from the salamander that they thought it looked like. So you can actually see the salamander there. So it's a little like Brangelina. Much like Brangelina, we actually would like to separate gerrymandering too. What do you say? Let's divorce that from the American process. I think it is important to think about how they do this. Now, none of us live in perfect rectangles, but this gives you a sense of how, when you draw the district lines different ways, you can, in fact, have different outcomes. Now, to understand this better, you can actually look at this in our state. Did I just hear, oh man? Yeah, anytime I look at this district, and you know, any of the districts, I've looked at this for a really long time. And I continue to be astonished at the machinations that are here. So I'm going to take us down to Hamilton County, where you all live. And when you look at the way this works out, this is a perfect example of what they call cracking. Where you take Hamilton County right here, where you basically are separating out folks. You crack areas so that you take the Democratic center of Hamilton County and you put the surrounding burbs of Republicans, so you actually create 2 Republican districts. Now, the thing that's really important about gerrymandering is, even though I just described this cracking, there's also this thing called packing, where you push everybody all together. Okay, so let's look up at this 3rd Congressional District. In Franklin County, where Columbus is, where it looks like a Rorschach ink blot.
Thank you.
That is where they put all the Democrats together, where they're packing them. In the middle there, yeah, in the middle, where just you're like, what is that Rorschach ink blot? Now, gerrymandering has been done by Republicans. It's been done by Democrats. It is the party in power that draws those district lines. It is the state legislature that draws those district lines right now. And as you know, it is dominated by one party heavily right at the moment. And in 2011, when the district lines were drawn, they were drawn by consultants. So sometimes we get this idea that the state legislators are there and they're coming up with these district lines. But basically what happened is they were in fact drawn by consultants in a hotel room that was 500 feet from the State House. A woman named Heather Mann, now Heather Mann Blessing, Blessing's a name that you all would know, is one of the people who went off the state payroll to become a consultant. She was working for the Speaker of the House, a guy named Bill Batchelder, to create these district lines. And so it's important to think that, you know, to think about like the power of the computer. Now, it could be that Elbridge Gerry actually wanted to, shall we say, create complete machinations. But a computer allows you, for example, at the very top, you can go to where Lucas County is, where Toledo is. You have that 9th Congressional District that's yellow along the lake. It starts in Toledo at Marcy Kaptur's house. And it ends in Cleveland at Dennis Kucinich's house. Yeah, you definitely need computers to do this. Now, in some states, it is the Democrats who do these map making. So we know in Illinois and in Maryland, they have similar stories of just districts that distort our vote. And I think that's the thing that's really important. That in fact, the manipulation of these districts warp the actual election. Now, one of the things I think that's very important to think about is how this impacts all of us. And so this one, you might say, oh, it's just too much, it's hard to read. But the way to understand it is, you look at the first area is the party that's projected to win. And that is based on public records, We know that the map makers projected these parties to win. And they did. Every single time, every single district, 2012, 2014, 2016. Now, what's important about that is, yes, gerrymandering marginalizes one party over another, which can be very irritating. But the other thing is, it creates really, really uncompetitive elections. The last election, 2016, the average points, the average win was 36 points. What is competitive? 5. So they were blowouts, and they were the kind of blowouts that meant that in fact they were not actually engaging in good substantive debates with their challengers during 2016. Because if there's such a mismatch, there aren't the kind of debates that you would want, and so it may be that this would happen naturally, right? Might be, but the fact that we didn't even have good debates, just because they're so uncompetitive, is a disservice to us all. And gerrymandering violates the will of all people, Democrats, Republicans, Independents. So in 2015, Ohio voters passed State Issue 1, which established a bipartisan commission to do the map making. It focused on keeping communities together. If you can keep a county together, keep it together. If you can keep a city together, keep it together. And it also focused on that idea of you cannot gerrymander. You cannot, there's a prohibition on drawing a district map to favor or disfavor one party or another, or one candidate or another. Now the thing that's important about this is we won in 88 counties. We won by more than 71% of the vote. Anyone in the world would have taken this as a mandate, and yet nothing happened. So this is from the State of the Union last year, where President Obama said, hey, we need to tackle this. This is genuinely a problem. We also, at the State of the State last year, had Governor Kasich talking about how we need to throw gerrymandering on the dustbin of history. And so for many of us, I think we thought, well, we did state legislative. When is the state legislature going to put congressional redistricting reform in front of us? When are we going to have that opportunity to fix that too?
Right after they start funding public education.
There's some cynics in the room. So Speaker of the House describes state legislative congressional redistricting as like apples and oranges. It's just completely a different thing. Former Senate President Faber said it was a divestiture of state legislative authority. Well, yeah, the problem is that the state legislature is dominated by one political party. So yeah, it does take it away from the state legislature, but for good reason. So, now we need to think about how are we actually going to fix Congress. And, for many of us, we can envision a better map. We can envision what that might actually be. I threw this in here just to give you a sense of what it might look like. This gives you an idea. This is part of a competition that we did in 2011. And when I say we, Legal Women Voters, CommonCause, and Ohio Citizens in Action, did this competition. We call it Ohio Redistricting Competition. And we gave the public the tools so they could participate in map making during the actual map making process. And so this just gives you an idea. You'll notice there's still some weird squiggles and wiggles, but it pretty much keeps communities together. And when we think about what that means, knowing who represents us, getting that person's attention, that is what true representation means. So redistricting reform is all about making sure that we have better representation in DC. Sounds like you wanted to say something.
I was confused by that first district separated by something. I thought they were supposed to be contiguous when you have fair districting.
Oh, there's two different districts. You mean this one and this one? They're two different. They're the same color, but they're
Oh,
two
they're
different
different,
districts.
oh, good, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, they're two different districts. Although, you know, contiguity is an interesting thing. Like if you look
Yeah.
over here at that district, the snake on the lake, the one that goes from Toledo to Cleveland, I mean, it's mostly water because it, you know, right? And it jumps, you know, because it picks up the islands up there, the Catwa Island, but also it jumps over a county by using a bridge. So contiguous, you know,
Yeah.
and it is not something you can walk through. You literally, yeah, it's not, you might say to yourself, well, or, you know, the driving through, you can't even really do that because there's a huge section that's just marshland. So as we're thinking about moving forward, we came to the point where we just said, our state legislature is not going to do this. They're just not going to move. And so a few weeks ago, in April, we came together to actually begin a ballot initiative. And as you might imagine, a citizen initiative takes a heck of a lot of work. And what we have to do is collect 300,000 plus valid signatures. There's some rules about the county, you know, that it's 5% of the gubernatorial vote, or the last gubernatorial vote, in 44 of the 88 counties. I think that's one of the things that is really good about direct democracy, because we wouldn't want to have just Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland be the places where you got signatures. You want to actually have a more robust debate and get input from all over. Now, I think when we think about what we need to do, this gives an overview of the proposal. Congressional districts will be drawn by the bipartisan Ohio Redistricting Commission. The maps may not be drawn to favor or disfavor one political party over another. We must keep communities together. There's actually a compactness requirement and a requirement of transparency. You know what? Transparency solves a lot of problems because, as you might imagine, a little bit of sunlight,